What's going on, my eaters? It's your boy Chef Drew, aka Chef, aka Big Drew, aka today we are talking marketing and branding, guys. We have not had a guest in a minute, but today we have the guest for you. We have my friend, my homie, my boss lady in some ways now, Nancy Tao. She owns Tao Communications, a marketing PR firm. But before we do that, please make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things so we can continue to bring you this great content. When I do a little bit of Googling and searching on you, I see some big brand names associated with your work. I know the Atlanta Committee for Olympics is you, Coca-Cola, NBC, Nike. These are some big names. Whether we're talking about those big names, and I dropped those names, y'all, to let y'all know we ain't playing around here. Nancy is doing her thing in her field of interest. Her resume is like that. So you just need to know the quality of people I'm trying to put in front of you. But whether it's those big brands or solopreneurs, grassroots entrepreneurs like me, just the importance and value of choosing the story, figuring out what your story is, and then conveying said story to the masses.
Right.
I think a lot of people fail in that area. What has been your experience as I say some of that stuff?
Yeah, no, I think it's just, I would say I'm a big proponent of having a plan. Always have a plan, right? And I would say that to people who want to go out on their own. You can definitely do it. Again, it takes that leap of faith, but you have to have a plan. Okay. And that plan can change, right? So I think the same thing with business owners. You definitely need a marketing plan, a branding plan, a PR plan, and a communications plan. And yes, they all can live on that same one. It doesn't have to be complicated either.
Right.
Stay on that same piece of paper, right? And I think we're figuring that out. It's not that complicated.
No.
But it's a discipline.
It is.
And you do have to, that's why we talk every week.
Yep.
You have to commit time to it. You have to commit some type of budget to it, right? And then you're good to go. So it's something that is often overlooked or it's not prioritized.
Right.
Because, and I get it, because it takes a lot to start a company and to launch a brand.
Yep.
But to launch you can do all the work behind the scenes, get your logo, get your space, and hire your people, do all that. But unless you market and PR and brand yourself, no one's coming through the front door.
Right.
No one's coming to check you, check out online. So
that's true.
So it's important.
Yeah. I think for me,
it's a priority.
I think for me personally, what got me and you sitting at the table this time is just me evaluating and looking at my business, looking at where I wanted to go, looking at where I was and where I've come from. And y'all, I just had a moment of realization for me personally. I was like, you know what? I'm doing all the things right. I'm putting my business out there. A lot of the branding is great. I know I got the stories. The logo is great. It's scalable. It's sellable. All of that. But where I was failing was putting my brand in front of enough people. And not even just enough people, but the right people.
Yeah.
And so I called you. And that's one of the things that, to me, has stood out since starting to work together is you forcing me to consider all of those things simultaneously, and not just that, but knowing what's for me and not for me.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I noticed, Nancy, you come across very nice and sweet and approachable and all of that stuff.
He's getting to something. What are you getting to? ...
but.
Something's happening.
But I have experience and I have seen, and I don't have a problem with it because this is me too.
Right.
You also don't have a problem saying what needs to be said, even if it may not be the popular opinion, even if it might cause a little bit of discomfort or friction. I know for me, when you take like those, like in my work career, I've taken like several of those like management personality tests and whatnot.
Right.
And one of the things that says my strengths always is, which is also a thing that makes me the most uncomfortable, it always says that I'm very, very good at having the hard conversation, which is weird because usually I don't want to be in no hard conversations. However, I'm just good at it. How would you say you have gotten good at being you, being nice, professional, personable, and all that, but also, I can speak from my own experience, you don't have a problem being very direct or telling people what needs to be said, even if they may not like it. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, that's my job. That's my responsibility. I'm just going to use you as an example since we work together.
Yep.
So that's my responsibility to you as a business owner. Because what I'm doing is helping you be forward-facing to your key audiences. Right. Whether that's business partners, investors, consumers, partners, any of your audiences, right? And then we've worked together to prioritize who those audiences are. Right. And then we're also building on, you know, a plan. Right. Right, to get there. That's why I always think it's a journey. Yep, it's a journey. Right? But we're doing it all simultaneously, like you said. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. There's a lot of multitasking going on, but yeah. So, you know, I think it's easier, and I have a hard time having in my personal life. I will say I'm non-confrontational. You know, and Asians are stereotypical. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself. We are stereotypically passive aggressive. Really? Oh, absolutely. I think I've heard that before, absolutely. Actually. So we're always like very not like, oh, come in, have some tea and eat some food, and then, you know, but oh yeah. Yeah. Here, have this cookie. I'll come back around. But should you be eating that cookie? Kind of passive aggressiveness. Yeah, I've heard that. But I think it's because of what I do, and I'm really sort of behind the scenes. This is why today's a little bit difficult for me to be in front of the camera. Because I'm always back there whispering in your ear and saying, chef, say this. Next time, okay, that was fun what you said. Right. These are some of the difficult conversations, right? I'll say, that's okay that you said that, but what you might think about saying is this. Gotcha. Right? Yeah. Like we talk a lot about barbecue. Yep. And how barbecue is, in the South, barbecue is, when you say barbecue to a consumer, they think pulled pork, mac and cheese. Like they think about the things that are on the menu. Right. But Pink's is way different. This is what sets you apart. This is your differentiator. Yep. Is that for Pink's, barbecue is the way that you prepare your food. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And you're working with the oldest form of cooking. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Is open flame, open fire. And I'm learning so much from you about that. Amen. That's so interesting. That's awesome. But way beyond barbecue. It's way beyond. Because honestly, you know, Pink's Barbecue is a great name. There's a story behind the name, which we're telling that more and more. Yeah. Right? But when you say Pink's Barbecue, you're like, oh, it's just another. I mean, everyone's got a barbecue. Yeah. Roy, John, Billy, Bob, Susie. They all have a barbecue. Everybody got a daggone barbecue. Okay, I mean, especially in the South. Yeah. Absolutely. So, but Pink's is different. Yeah. And we're starting to tell that story more and more. And y'all going to be hearing lots more about that. Stay tuned. Yeah. So it's not, I like having those conversations. Yeah. Actually, because it's my responsibility. So I always hate having the conversation, but I always love the results. Because 9 times out of 10, if you can navigate that conversation, you always end up in a better place or with a better foot. What you say matters. How you say it matters. Yeah. It really does. And sometimes when too, timing. Yes. It all matters. Absolutely. Talk about this, because a lot of times when I'm talking to people about entrepreneurship on this channel, one of my favorite questions to ask, and I'm going to ask you now, is talk about the cost of being your own boss. The cost as far as finances, the cost as far as sacrifice and time. Talk about mess ups. I'm sure you haven't been perfect every single day for your 30-day career.
Can you talk about that, the bad days and bad times and stuff?
So I mean, financing with everything, and it's hard to raise the capital to run your business is really hard, and for the most part, I'm a one-woman show, and a lot of that is based on money.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I
know.
I don't have I don't have the and the bigger clients doesn't always equate to bigger budgets. Right. So that's how you define it and how you interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I represent a lot of small business owners, so they're smaller companies with smaller budgets, but I think the assets they have are in many ways a lot richer than a bigger company.
Right.
Perhaps.
I could see that.
From a PR perspective, because public relations is a lot about telling stories.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a reality.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, and I should have that same quote under my signature line.
Yeah.
I'm very much about blood and sweat and tears. So that's really how I've financed my business, is through my time.
Yeah.
And my experience but I'm very proud of the fact that I give a lot of my time to my clients.
Yeah.
I work.
She does.
Even
before they're clients.
I do work with, I usually have an intern every year to a semester from Oglethorpe Universities, and they've been great.
Okay.
Great partner. And then I've kind of learned over the years, it's hard to sustain a part-time person for me.
Right.
Because I just can't, I can't pay them enough.
Right.
And they're usually young, and they're going to go on and they're going to move on. But I've had some really great experiences with that. But they're not going to stick around.
Right.
And then otherwise, I'll partner with somebody who's on the same level as I am. That's the best. So you kind of get, you get
a
more
true collaboration kind of deal.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Gotcha.
That's ideal. So,
okay, so what I'm taking from what you said and what I want you guys to take away from this, you've heard us now over the history of the channel, talk to a few different people, and Nancy just confirmed what everybody else has said. And this is for the person at home right now wondering whether or not they can do it, or wondering how they're going to keep doing it. It kind of is par for the course, y'all. Like, when you make your mind up and you don't have the inheritance and you don't have the hookups and all of that, all you have is your blood, sweat, and tears. That's what it takes 9 times out of 10 to get your thing up and off. So if it's not feeling good or it's scary, that's, in my experience, kind of a good indication that you're kind of on the right track. I've been doing this for some years now. Nancy's been doing it for some years, and we can both tell you, Nancy just told you, it still is a grind. Quite honestly, I don't know when that grind is going to stop. But I do know, as long as we keep pursuing and keep aligning ourselves with the right people and the right relationships and circumstances, and work on things like our brand story, and our public perception and our marketing, it will feel less abrasive. Not that it's going to stop rubbing, but it will feel, you'll get some powder and some lotion, it'll feel less abrasive, Nancy, if you can pick a couple bullet points, I won't put a number on it, but if you're talking to the entrepreneurial student, or the single mom or single dad who are about to have to just make it happen, or the person starting over again for whatever reason, what would you tell them about their public perception and their brand story? What are the things they should keep in mind as they continue to pursue their dream or start to go after?
Yeah. So again, perception is reality, number one. So that means that it is important, like I said earlier, what you say, how you say it, when you say it is definitely important. How you present yourself is important. People have short attention spans, so whoever you're in front of pitching, they're going to make a judgment about you the minute you walk in the door. There's some statistic about, when somebody walks in the door, people already have decided whether or not they're going to hire you, whether or not they're going to do business with you, just based on what they see when you walk through the door or what they see when you sit down across from them. So you got that going right there. So, but I feel like you've got another chance then, and that's a lot in your verbal presentation, what you have to say, if you have some slides to show, what are on the slides, your brand, how your brand is represented, how your brand speaks, how you've prepared for that meeting so that your brand is speaking specifically to what is on that agenda, right? So Pink's Barbecue can speak to a lot of things. A lot of things. But you always have to remember who you're speaking to, right? Because people don't want to hear everything about Pink's. Right? They just want to hear what they're there for.
Or they don't want to hear it all today.
Right, exactly.
That too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely important, and I think it's a priority. I would encourage you to make it a priority because everything's important, right?
Right.
And I would, first and foremost, just go for it. I think, doing your own thing, whether you want to use the fancy word entrepreneur. Is that French, by the way? Entrepreneur.
I can see how we could get there.
I just like to say, just do your own thing.
Yeah.
It's much easier than entrepreneur.
Right.
But definitely, go for it. Go for it. Do it. If you have always had this dream of doing whatever, you're not going to give up on it. And it's going to, for the rest of your life, if you don't just try it and do it,
right.
You're going to leave this earth going, I should have done that. And, I think between my personal life and my professional life, it's been tough. I'm a single mom. I know I have single mom vibes, but but I would do it all over again. Now I'm hungry. Can we eat? Can we go eat?
Soon. Listen, Nancy.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, hug. Are you a hugger?
I think this is my first on-camera hug.
I'm just upset I'm not your first guest. Who else has been on the show?
Not many.
We'll talk about later.
Not many. You're my first Asian person on the show.
Wow.
Hey! Y'all, listen, Nancy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nancy Tao Communications spent the afternoon with us a little bit. Y'all, we are here always and forever to educate you, excite you, empower you into the future that you want for your life and your business. I hope today was a blessing for you. It was for me for sure. Until next time, guys, please, please, please remember to like, subscribe, do all the things that help us keep bringing you this content. Also, remember John and Chuck, Last Night's Coffee on all streaming platforms. Awesome, awesome podcast, my homies. Until then, we are gone.